The rusted Ferris wheel scraped the sky, a skeletal giant against the dying light. Below, cracked asphalt snaked through silent attractions, swallowed by weeds. The air hung heavy, thick with the smell of decay and forgotten laughter. This was Joyland, once a beacon of childhood dreams, now a graveyard of memories. We stood at its gates, drawn in by the darkness. This wasn't just another investigation. This was personal. Legends whispered of Joyland, stories of accidents, disappearances, and a darkness that clung to the rides long after the gates closed. We'd heard the stories, felt the fear in the whispers. Tonight, we'd confront it. Our cameras were rolling, capturing every shadow, every rustle in the wind. We were here to uncover the truth, no matter the cost.
Billy, our tech guy, shivered. He wasn't alone. The air was thick with tension, and every creak and rustle seemed amplified in the eerie silence of the abandoned theme park.
Even I, a seasoned investigator, felt the chill. My hand trembled slightly as I gripped my flashlight tighter, trying to steady my nerves. This place had a presence, a weight that pressed down on us. It was as if the very air was charged with the memories of the past, whispering secrets we were yet to uncover. "You sure about this, Zach?" Billy's voice was barely a whisper. His eyes darted around, searching for any sign of movement in the shadows. "We don't back down from a challenge," I said, my hand resting on the EMF reader clipped to my belt. The needle spiked dramatically, confirming the presence of something unseen. It hummed with a low, steady pulse. The glow from the reader cast an eerie light on our faces, adding to the sense of foreboding. Something happened here, something dark. The shadows seemed to move with a life of their own, creeping over the rusted rides and broken attractions. We owe it to the people who lost their joy here to find out what. Our flashlights cut through the darkness, revealing glimpses of the park's former glory now shrouded in decay. The others, Jay and Aaron, stood silent, their faces grim in the fading light. The flickering lights cast long shadows, making the place feel even more haunted. We were a team, bound by our curiosity and our shared fear. Each glance exchanged was a silent affirmation of our resolve to uncover the truth. We'd faced down entities before, but something about Joyland felt different, more sinister. The park seemed to breathe, its dark history enveloping us with every step we took. Tonight, we'd see if the legends were true. Tonight, we'd tempt fate. The decrepit building loomed before us, a silent guardian of the secrets we were determined to unveil. The entrance creaked open, a rusty groan that echoed through the deserted park. Dust swirled in our flashlight beams, dancing with the shadows. The air grew colder, the silence broken only by the crunch of our footsteps. We moved deeper into the park, each step a descent into a forgotten world. The rides loomed around us, skeletal sentinels against the darkening sky. The air grew thick with the feeling of being watched, the prickle of unseen eyes on our backs. The first EVP session yielded nothing but static and the whisper of the wind. But the energy was building, a palpable tension that crackled in the air. We were being tested, our courage measured against the darkness that surrounded us.
We reached the Carousel, its once bright horses now faded and peeling, frozen in mid-gallop. A chill wind swept across the platform, carrying with it the faintest hint of music, a distorted waltz that sent shivers down my spine. Did you hear that? Aaron's voice was tight.
He wasn't the only one. We all heard it, the echo of laughter, high and thin, like children playing in the dark. But there were no children here, only the ghosts of memories and the growing sense of dread. The EMF reader spiked, its high-pitched whine cutting through the silence. Something was here, something unseen but present. It was toying with us, drawing us deeper into its web of fear. The carousel shuddered, its lights flickering to life, casting long, eerie shadows that danced across the deserted park. The music grew louder, the distorted waltz twisting into a discordant symphony that seemed to seep into our very bones, chilling us to the core. The horses began to move, slowly at first, then faster and faster, their painted eyes seeming to follow us as we watched in horrified fascination. Each turn of the carousel felt like a step deeper into a nightmare.
"This is impossible," Billy breathed, his face pale in the strobing light. His voice trembled, barely audible over the cacophony of the twisted waltz.
He wasn't wrong. The scene before us defied all logic, all reason. There was no power source here, no explanation for what we were witnessing. The air was thick with an unnatural energy, a palpable sense of dread. This was beyond logic, beyond reason. It was as if the very fabric of reality was unraveling before our eyes. This was the supernatural at its most terrifying. The presence we felt was malevolent, ancient, and it seemed to be toying with us. We were trapped in a nightmare, the air thick with the smell of ozone and fear. Every breath felt heavy, laden with the weight of our terror. The laughter was louder now, echoing around us, mocking our terror. It was a sound that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere, a cruel reminder of our helplessness. We had to get out, had to escape the grip of this malevolent entity before it consumed us. Our only hope was to flee, to put as much distance as possible between us and the cursed carousel. A shadow flickered at the edge of the light, a fleeting glimpse of something tall and gaunt, its eyes burning with an unnatural light. It vanished before we could react, leaving behind a chill that seeped into our bones.
"We're not alone," Jay whispered, his voice hoarse with fear.
He was stating the obvious. We were surrounded, hunted by something unseen, something that reveled in our terror. The air crackled with energy, the feeling of being watched intensifying. We pressed on, our pace quickening, our flashlights cutting through the darkness. Every creak of metal, every rustle in the undergrowth sent shivers down our spines. We were running now, not from the unknown, but from something we were beginning to understand. We were running for our lives. The exit seemed miles away, the darkness closing in around us like a suffocating blanket. The figure appeared again, more substantial this time, its features twisted into a grotesque mockery of a human face. It lunged, its claws reaching for us, its laughter echoing in our ears. We scattered, our flashlights bouncing wildly, casting grotesque shadows that danced with the darkness. We were outmatched, outgunned, our courage tested against the embodiment of our deepest fears. The EMF reader screamed, its high-pitched whine a siren song of terror. We had to break free, had to escape the clutches of this nightmare. But the park held us captive, its twisted metal and decaying structures a prison from which there seemed to be no escape.
This way, Aaron shouted, his voice lost in the wind.
Panic surged through me, a primal instinct to flee, to survive. We stumbled through the darkness, our breath ragged, our hearts pounding in our chests. The ground was uneven, littered with debris, each step a gamble against a twisted ankle or a bone-jarring fall. We followed blindly, our only hope the faint glimmer of light that marked the exit. The laughter followed us, relentless, mocking, a constant reminder of the horror that stalked our every move. The air was thick with the smell of decay and something else, something ancient and evil. We were running through the belly of the beast, our only hope to escape its clutches before it devoured us whole.
"We're trapped!" Billy cried, his voice trembling with fear, his voice echoing in the confined space, bouncing off the cold, damp walls.
We burst through a set of swinging doors, our hearts pounding in our chests, slamming them shut behind us with all our might, the flimsy metal our only barrier against the nightmare that pursued us. It felt like a thin veil between us and certain doom. We were in some kind of storage room, the flickering flashlight casting eerie shadows on the walls, the air thick with dust and the musty smell of decay. He was right. We were trapped in this forsaken place. There was only one way in or out, a single entrance that now felt like a death trap. And the entity was out there, waiting for us. We were cornered, like prey in a hunter's snare, our backs against the wall, the cold surface pressing against us, our courage tested against the embodiment of our deepest fears. The darkness seemed to close in on us. The laughter was closer now, a sinister sound that sent chills down our spines, just on the other side of the door, accompanied by the sound of heavy footsteps and the scraping of claws against metal. Each step echoed like a countdown to our doom. We were out of time, our options dwindling with each passing second. The reality of our situation was sinking in. We were feeling trapped and helpless, the eerie setting amplifying our fear. The walls seemed to close in, and the air grew colder, our breaths coming in short, panicked gasps. We had to think of something, anything, to escape this nightmare. Suddenly, a section of the wall crumbled inward, revealing a narrow passageway. It was a long shot, but our only chance. We scrambled through the opening, the dust choking us, the darkness swallowing us whole. The passage twisted and turned, a labyrinth of shadows and fear, but we pressed on, driven by adrenaline and the desperate hope of escape. The laughter faded behind us, replaced by the sound of our own ragged breathing and the frantic beating of our hearts. Finally, we emerged into the cool night air. the taste of freedom sweeter than we could have imagined. We had escaped the clutches of Joyland, but the experience would stay with us, forever etched in our memories. We left Joyland behind, but the questions lingered. What was that entity? What happened within those decaying walls? We may never know for sure, but one thing is certain: Joyland is not a place for the faint of heart. If you're brave enough, if you dare to confront the darkness, then join us on our journey. Like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more terrifying investigations. The hunt for the paranormal continues.